information from me. I mean, I did the research on it.
My cousin.
Great. Great, great.
That's got the bottom, I think.
Smile.
Becky went there.
Good.
We're gonna become the historians. Okay, so this was Joseph's father.
Joseph goes back 3 generations.
And then this was his wife. And that's okay. And then his son was our grandfather.
Just
Sean.
If you would have known it was that far.
well, I did know, but I thought, well,
the door.
Come on! And my brother's son, Brian, is playing with Jackson. This is my brother.
Yeah, I know your brother. He's the only one I recognize.
Is it?
You don't recognize us?
Oh, yeah.
I thought we would build on this, but it just didn't work out that way. And when we decided we were,
So,
it was coming close to winter. So we knew it
Well, I sure worked out. Nice job here.
I don't think it's a train, Jack. It's far away. There's a lot going on. Hey, look at that bear! Is that a bear?
And you found something to eat.
Yep. Find something.
yeah.
That tree was open.
Yeah.
Feel for me.
Giant, huh? Oh, Jackson, Mom and Dad are going to go now, but you're going to come on the corner and
Now, who designed the house?
Now you
You
can't.
guys are.
Things I want to do is go the inland passage to Alaska, because you can get on and off at different places along the way, and just go up there.
Yeah, I don't really.
Alaska's one of my trips that's on my list. Oh, did you? Well,
She's on the
that's
phone
nice.
in there.
That's too bad she didn't come down.
Oh, her mother's not well.
Oh, really?
She just felt.
Anything on the other side?
Well, you got here. What have you been doing?
Laying on the ground. Laying on the ground, I don't know how he's not itching to tip. Don't you itch? Right. Granny Cook had some help brothers too. So I hear.
But I can still tickle him.
You'll be taller than your daddy.
He's a pile of mush when I tickle him.
A pile of mush.
He's got to.
Oh my gosh.
I can't tickle him. You know, this is mine. Okay.
Yeah, we got it all taken care of. Have enough brains in this whole lot to figure out chronological order.
59.
It's way too tough. We can't even figure out who we want to take pictures of.
59.
Robert's the oldest.
Yo!
He's the oldest.
Okay, Marcia's
59.
Kathy.
Together, probably, right?
Kelly, you'll need to get out.
Well, I can get about.
It's Clifford. That's really a good spot down there. I think because of the lights.
You know what? I think I gave that suggestion earlier. But...
Go down there. We'll be for the rock. The lights are all
Stay in position.
Okay, what's going on? You're moving now. I gotta go down there. Because of the light. Come on. Yeah, the
light us.
I gotta go to the bathroom.
Right here.
Keep your legs together, darling.
This is that rock that has his.
Yeah, we know.
My best friend, when I said I got up at 10, she says, did you take your shoes off?
Oh, you waited too long.
Sam, here they go.
Here come the cooks.
They're gonna start rolling. Go out of control. We'll catch them down at the bottom of the hill. One thing about them matriarchs.
Oh, here they come. You're gonna make Hurry, Sam.
I got it.
Millie, is she going to be all right? No, stand by between the cousins.
You can stand there,
Yes,
Millie.
do.
Yes. Come in. I'm gonna get Millie by the tree because she looks very poetic there.
Yeah.
Sam's getting it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Would you like one?
Yes.
No,
Yeah,
Moms, just stay there.
yeah.
We'll be up there in a minute.
Okay, I'll go back to the historical rock.
The
There's a historical rock
That we've all been on.
very, very famous in my life.
All right, we're done here?
I think we're done.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Smile. Okay, now we're going
Thanks.
to
Okay, go sit
Then
down.
we're
I'll
all
get you
gonna
on your rock.
She wants a picture on the rock.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Who's over there that we can go over there?
We're going to the creek.
There's a creek over there? Is there a lake over there?
No, it was always been a creek that we always found, and you were so young.
You still taking pictures?
Where do we have to tell all this everything to the brand new?
You rewind.
I'm reminding.
Make sure you get her toes.
Don't move, in other words. Well, Susie, but so now I say put up one finger on her.
In the cart.
Are we taking a group picture? Millie wasn't in it. Millie wasn't in it. Okay, so that was it?
Oh, we're still taking pictures. You want to take pictures? Go stay
No. You know what? If we go down here, nice sunlight for pictures. That's a
Why don't you all get together over here by the tent? Yeah. Now this is a historical trip. So I've been around this historical taking
Well, my camera will take up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If you want to take a picture, you and your mom and your sister,
The
your
light
kids,
one
and
will push too
her
far.
kids.
Cal, come on over.
way she wouldn't sit here.
You sit there. Come sit on over here.
Everybody smile. She knows all my stories, so now I'll have a new one for her. Oh my God, I think it's a smile.
I'm waiting for Kathy.
Does she even know she's supposed to be out?
Let me go lose 40 pounds, Art, please.
real quick. How long will that take you?
You can keep yours open if you want to. Okay, now you gotta lift up again.
Melanie is,
Okay, great.
Come on over here, you guys.
Where's Tom? Where's Marcia Kay? I need to ask permission to take her surrogate daughter
I just
on
named
a
the rock.
trip.
It's called
In the
Circle
morning,
Rock.
yes, to keep her son.
Pride Rock.
What's her problem? Say an hour maximum.
So half an hour there and half an hour back.
Hey, Kelly.
Or is it like an hour?
How are you?
Good.
I'm trying to figure out that the creek was just
We'll
right
come
down
back.
in the bend.
Yeah, it's
No, it's over there. It's over there.
Yeah,
One hill.
One hill.
Wait a damn minute.
And so we used to sleep on a rock up there all by ourselves. We danced
Stay with Papa just a second, and I'm gonna pull a couple of chairs and I'll be right back, okay? We've been talking about where to live when I get my nursing.
You need to Kelvin had kids.
Come and go around.
And I love the way you guys.
That's it got a sock around it, and it's tied with a rubber tube like a bike tire. And he says, "Look it," and it's holding instead of plumber's cock. And I'm like, so then this contractor starts really getting obnoxious about my dad, you know, right? And there's
But your dad wasn't there?
no, my dad's in Mexico.
Okay.
So, and this other man who was there, I think he was the adjuster or somebody, he goes, "I think it's really rude to talk about the deceased man like that." I'm sure he tried really hard. I go, "No, he's alive." This guy is just tired of his workmanship. He was so fit to be tied. He was like, "Oh, this man does not know how to do labor work," but that's what he did. He always constantly was working on stuff.
Sure. And you look at it, and it'll work. You've got the job.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the way it was. He's done that. But
In the world.
Probably
Where are you?
didn't say anything about it.
Is your property line right where the grass is?
But what everybody out here.
Kind of where the bushes are. Those are bushes my grandmother planted. But then our property goes to the street.
I mean, right along here. All the bushes over there for those bushes
Pretty
over
much.
there?
So that's an apple tree too.
Yeah, there are two of them down there.
I think I remember
I don't know.
Is that a picture?
Oh, you're trying to put those on those colors?
Who's in those?
You're who? What's your name?
Right, that worked out perfect. Pulled in there, you know, we were the only ones in the pool.
Oh,
I got on the elevator.
that's a nice one.
I went to get some coffee last night. I was
Don't break those,
and here came
darling.
these little kids with the dad. Let them go tonight. They just got out of the pool.
Oh,
If you hang there long enough, you might stretch you a little bit.
there I am, hanging upside down. Oh, absolutely. I don't think I did it many days in a row, but
fall on your head?
oh, you don't fall on your head. I could get up and get down from that, but
What, a clothesline? It had hurt back your knee.
Now, I want to tell you this.
I would have thought about
well,
it.
you had the
It's amazing
posts.
any of us grew up.
Okay.
Oh, okay, I think
it
you were
was
hanging
metal.
from the...
No, from the post, clothesline
Let me tell you
post.
about that saddle. Now, this is a true story. Of course, we were always having people stop in.
Unlike
fight.
most of your stories.
And I said to one of them one time, I said, "What would you do if you came and we weren't at home?" And she said, and I was sincere. I mean, I didn't think anything about it. And she says, "Well, we knew you'd be home. Mr. Dolan has to work." Oh, that was one of the funniest things. But Jean and Dot, when they were living in the house, their last house, well, Gene would have his saddle out in the, and so I had 5 from New Orleans staying, and I wanted to take them down to the, the famous Jennifer Valley. Well, anyhow, doesn't make any difference.
Poor Man's Gulch or
Anyhow, doesn't make any difference. But anyhow, here I had this 5, then they were the awfulest kids. The 4 were. The one was the mother. They'd say they stayed with mother first, and they got her so upset that I had them come over to our place and stay. And I tell you, they were really something. And she'd say, "Now stop shutting that door. You're making me very nervous."
that was your mom.
Yeah, that was my mom that said that. And of course, years later, we heard the story from somebody else that it wasn't that way. But anyhow.
So she talks like that, your mom? She had that accent?
Oh, yeah, she was. We were all from Louisiana. New Orleans with the ball and the opera and all that.
Yeah, Rita never
But
stopped
this,
hers.
I can still, with this photograph of mine, see that saddle. And I didn't want to take all those kids down to the Royal Gorge. So Dot, she was feeling so sorry for me, and she says, well, leave a couple of them with me. So we had just gotten a new car, and they get in, they were always fighting over which was going to be by the twister and this and that. Well, I had two of them, and the rest we left with Dot. And they put you on the saddle. And he was the best kid ever.
Well, so he's always had a fascination with horses and saddles.
Me?
Well, we just wanted to be
I just
bow-legged.
wanted to be bow-legged.
But we put the other two, one on Corky and one on Hottie.
Yeah.
We've got pictures of that too.
Well,
Of those kids, of the cousins, the New Orleans cousins.
Yeah.
One on Corky and one on Hottie.
Oh, those
Yes.
pictures.
Yes. They were the orneriest kids, but that shut them up.
You used to take us.
Do you know, I never in my life ever said, would you like to spend the night with us? Until after I had put up with that bunch. The next year, I'm out at Annie Lil's, and Mother called. He was sick, and he says, there's some people here from New Orleans.
Pink. Mom, you're talking Mother called, but Dad was homesick.
Sick, yeah, Dad was homesick. And so I said to Lil, I said, oh, thank
I know
God.
the stories and I'm confused.
Quiet.
Thank God it's not those ornery kids. And as I drove into the driveway, here one was at the front door at the screen, just little kid. And then the other one, I went in, and I got, you'll know that antique chair that's in the bedroom up there. One of them was on that, going, oh, they were the only ones I never invited to spend the night.
Who did they belong to?
Was it Audrey?
They weren't the twins, were they?
No, there were the ones that we got were the two boys. One was like 10 and one was like 8. And we put them on the horses, and that was the end of our problems with them. But they had a terrible reputation, and every time they'd come to town, we'd all scatter.
Well, I
can't
can
remember
understand that now, because one of my friends I thought they'd be nice kids, and I love kids. But oh boy, that is the only person I never said, no, don't stay with us. But in a nice way, I had to figure out what can I say. And so I finally said, well, where do you plan to spend the night? Why, they brought their high chair in and all kinds of stuff that they'd gotten into the house before I got from Broadmoor over to where I was living. Well, they pretty soon got that done, and never ever heard from him. Never. But
we'll remember that line, won't we?
Where do
you plan to stay tonight? That's what Art's going to be telling all of us in a minute. Okay, you guys, where do you plan to spend the night?
Well, goodies out. They only have an hour till bedtime.
But just always remember, you just, because I was so stupid, but I love people.
Well, you're a kind-hearted person.
I love.
We're a little more weathered.
But I'll never forget this one that 5 standing at the door. The next spring, there's 5 standing at the door. I thought nothing of it, but I was cooking some food one time, and one of them was in the kitchen. And I said to her, what would you have done if you had come and we weren't at home? And she says, wow, we knew you'd be at home, because we know Mr. Dolan has to work. And that's the truth. That's
the truth.
So remember, that's your one. Right. Have you heard it, Art, before? Have you heard that story?
No, that's 5.
You've seen it twice in the last half hour.
She's playing with them.
But you have different stories going into that
and
ending.
she knows every time she's told it too.
She's setting us up.
She's got that cook instinct of teasing people.
Well, I
Well,
was offered, and he said, he goes, hoo-hoo. But I was actually,
Okay, we've heard this too, Mom.
I know.
Don't you have any stories to tell?
no, I told
For
them all.
posterity?
I've told all the stories today. I'll have to refresh and start tomorrow.
People are going to be wondering about you when they see this tape.
1 year after Susie, because Susie was born in 62.
Happy 4th of July.
Yes, happy 4th. Happy 4th, happy 4th. Good meal here, good meal. Now who's this one? Who's this? That's Will. That's Will. That's your oldest? Getting older. Yeah, okay. He's getting older. Oh, okay, so it kind of flows through. Okay.
Peter Granger was over at Amanda's for supper.
Really?
I tried to put them in the kids' orders as they were born, right? And like when you get to Scott, it's then his kids, and then there's odd things on the back with the cousins and stuff.
That's what Amanda's dog will do to me. Christen me, and I get so irritated. I don't want to be christened.
Very good, Sue. Very good, honey.
Thank you.
Okay. You got the video camera on her? Do you really? Oh, sure. Yeah. Recital time.
She's doing that, so.
I don't dare put these on top of her head. She'd have
Can you play
no
some
idea what was going
4th
on.
of July music, Susie?
What's the 4th of July?
Okay.
Yeah, I asked the same thing.
Star
Spangled Banner?
Star Spangled Banner, God
America
bless
the
America,
Beautiful.
America the beautiful, grand old flag.
Viva
I'm a
France.
Yankee Doodle Dandy and all those.
God save the king.
Queen.
The old woman is starting to tell what she
Darling, they've given that to
There's honey.
Thank you, that was wonderful.
Yeah, that was by Brady Dolan. I brought all the plates.
See, they gave us some really good rates. We were having the.
That old weird blowing out for you.
Yep.
Some of their rates, some of the D&D have the really nice, better rates than the motel.
Oh, that place that was where we were on 26th Street.
Travel Lodge?
Yeah, they know some people that, no, not Travel Lodge, but the bed and breakfast.
The Bontons.
Oh, the Bontons.
Oh,
Across the street.
yeah.
Oh,
That's a nice bed and breakfast.
Yeah,
Oh.
and it's fairly
We've been in
new.
there.
They look new. Are they gonna add it on?
No, it's brand new. It was built brand new.
Okay.
The architects. Well, that was one of our projects too,
Isn't that
when we
where
were
that,
still at Morgan, so
fire
it's
station
probably
went
about
down?
8 years old.
I was quite impressed with that.
Yeah, Kathy said the rooms are like maybe like a safari
Sorry.
room.
On different themes.
Things, yeah. So I think that's,
Because this couple traveled all over the world and bought things and
Oh.
decided to
okay. That's neat.
That's
open
what
a
we
place
look at all
and
these things where we've been traveling, because they don't buy a lot home around.
That one and zoo is all high tech and everything, internet hookups and everything,
Sure.
businessmen.
Everything's in there, so.
We were in college.
I see what they
What did they do, polish the copper then, if it's been in there a while? Copper on the outside of the balconies hasn't changed. Well, probably the sealer on it.
And there's a bathroom on Manitou Springs that's brand new built from the ground up like that at the end of it.
Yeah.
I volunteered.
Well, I visited.
What, honey?
From
my busy?
Yeah.
And this over here, this gal, from here and I went to school with her brother.
Okay, Susie's falling asleep here at the
The wheel?
Yeah, the wheel.
He's a type of cat Pokemon.
Well, I'm going to try wiggling it again. I'll tell you what, you hit it while I wiggle it. Well, I think what I'm going to do is, see, this one's just about through. This one's okay. It's pretty tight.
Wedged in there.
Yeah. Well, let's do this. I'll pick this up. You can pull that out. Go ahead and pull that out. Yeah. You like the That's okay. We're going to have to get out here.
move around if you want to.
Why don't we take one and we'll look at our
Are your taxes really bad here?
I have no idea what they are. First ones, I'm gonna take a day and
Are you going to preserve them?
press some.
They took that trail right over there, Kelly, and around and up. You want to catch up with them. Or you can stay here with us if you want. Well, maybe you can hook up the hoses and you can water it. Oh, I got what I wanted to do down with my folks.
Sean.
Can I have some more?
Oh, sure.
You're fine?
What do you say?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Did you run out of deck prep art? I didn't want you to spill it.
Isn't it nice out here, Charlie?
Yeah.
I come out here anymore. It's not very warm to sit. Let's do it.
Just like at home. Can you help him, Brian?
There you go.
Okay, that's not too bad.
And now with the education.
If you put them in there, you can't get them out to unlock.
Dude. Yep, and they'd be trapped in there forever. And no one will. Now, how much gave me homework, and I wrote them down.
Mm-hmm.
That had popcorn in it when we got it. One of the Boy Scouts was selling popcorn.
Yeah,
Get their heads in there to get the grain.
No, they just put their beaks in, don't they, honey?
Did you hear about that? Couple. I have no idea why
Ow!
they don't. Brian.
Ow!
She's petrified of these horses. They have a real nice barn. They have way.
I think of Doug's here by the time we get ready to go. I'll suggest that he go down. Look at her, she's like. Oh my God.
Going to town. Come on. Okay, we'll take it away from her. I dare you.
Drinks apple juice all the time. I don't think it will.
Because we have some applesauce in the fridge. Made from these apples.
Oh, do you?
Amanda made it. see it. She says, meet us in Conifer at 6. Maybe not.
That's just not fair. You're blackmailer on the internet.
It looks fine to me.
Yeah, right. Oh, Lord.
Is a fair dinkum. Art's got the video camera. Oh, here she comes. Everybody went fast. Great.
short version.
Okay.
Let me come back to that just one second. One song has two parts. The first part is the second part. That's the second part.
Okay. There we go. Start it. Yeah, but you got the
It's very rich. Oh, I know that.
Oh, did you put them out? No, I didn't. Well, I don't know that.
get your sweater and your coat.
I'll call him and give him a heads up. I don't remember the
Dad, what are we doing with the picture of this guy?
I don't know.
Well, we can just take it down there. Yeah, you hold it for a second. Let it What is it here?
For a homeless man.
Really?
Oh. Yeah, maybe, yeah. Yeah, maybe.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hang in our living room until it's like great.
You like to just a little spinning in your spare time?
When I retired, I'll probably make me.
Spin some wool. Spin the cotton and paper.
I better get on that.
Yeah.
Probably first thing you should spin some wool and maybe underwear.
Yeah.
Yeah. T-shirt. Yeah, tell her to spin wool.
Camel hair underwear. We have a guy that's not too many guys.
Pinky Dolan's relatives, which are his two daughters.
We were talking to him outside before the closing.
Hi.
Place, is it Gilbert? Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, you oh, God. Oh, dude. Yeah, come over here. Yeah, come over here. No. Don, stay. Yeah, no, all the time. I forget people's name all the time.
Like that.
That he'd come. He'd swap by there to pick them up.
We can
Hi, Gary. How are you? No, I think I can remember my own, but someday that's kind of creepy. At some point, the head's gonna do it. That's gonna make you remember everything in a hurry. Well, I'm trying to get used to it straight.
somewhere right here.
Okay.
Well, hello, Captain. How are you?
Where's your mom?
She hooked us area where my mom is.
God, that is. You see all this stuff up in the upstairs, downstairs?
Pretty special to me. We always said we never had brothers, we never had a sister, so and we're so close to engaged.
This was just the other day when we got it. We got a video of
Oh, what? They had a
They
wedding
couldn't make it, man.
that two of them were in, so.
Wow. Wow.
He still does.
Does he still work?
Yeah.
Hi. That's Kathy's
Kind of a surprise. I signed his picture.
Your color coordinator.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that all. That yeah.
Oh, they parted the present?
Yeah.
Oh, there. Oh, want a basket to put them in? Good.
Yes, there is one. Do a
Listen, I just tested that. The pork is really good.
My son.
Every day.
Yeah, that was the one that wasn't in the paper.
We're very excited about that.
Hi, Doug. Thank you for tonight, Doug. Nice meeting you.
Yes, you're going to trip down I brought the people that were
Good.
yeah, they'll be thrilled.
Hi, Steve. Yes, I do,
You know, I just started hanging out and take things
When you marry, get to
that's it right there. Yeah. Always We've been out here for about a year and a half.
He went to school.
Look at that change of days. I grew up in I'm a runner and I've had quite a bit.
I know this is highly unusual, but around our family, we hold hands as we give grace. And that kind of puts everybody together. So if we can kind of somehow get in a big circle and hold hands while grace is being said.
All right. Father, we thank you for your blessings to us. Thank you for how much you give us. Thank you for this time and this celebration and for these 80 years. And we ask your blessing on Pinky and Millie, everybody here. Thank you, Lord, for all of your goodness. In Jesus' name, amen.
Now we're in a line. All we have to do is come on over and you guys, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know the story.
Oh, I thought it was just me.
Old milk.
I also have a friend named Brett. You know, how much is you?
What I wanted to do first is I wanted to thank Jim and Donna McGuire for allowing us to come here. And I think we need to give them a round of applause for letting us come here.
I'm the only one here older than Mickey.
Yeah, right. I believe that. As all of you know, the Dolans and Guyers used to own about 120 acres around this area. It used to be called the Guyer-Dolan Homestead. And Dad was actually born where the McGuire home is now 80 years ago. And according to the newspaper article, it was a Friday, September 24th, 1920. So that's what makes this, for probably our family, kind of like hallowed ground, because this is where the great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents came. Gwen, you were born here too?
Yes, and so was Alice.
No kidding. Oh, that's okay. Good family. We're really fortunate to have Gwen, which is Dad's cousin, in from California. And Gwen's son, Vern, and his wife, Alice. Julie. Alice, and their son, John. And we just appreciate them being here and appreciate them taking their time to be here. That was real important to Dad that they be here. Also, another cousin, Alice, and Mark Gibson went to grade school or just junior high and high school? Yeah, high school together with Dad in Colorado Springs at Colorado Springs High School that is now Palmer. And so they go back a few years together, and Marvin and Alice are married and live just probably 1.5 miles, 2 miles down the road. So Alice is fortunate enough not to have to have moved too far from where she grew up. There's immediate family. My mom, you probably all know. My oldest sister, Pam, and my young sister, Kathy. I have to say that even though she's older than I am. This is Kathy's daughter, Heidi, and her husband, John, that are with us. Pam's husband, Lindsay, is right behind her. Okay. Lindsay's, always behind me. And Doug Isla, her son, Doug's wife, Amy, and the littlest squirt that we have here, Lindsay Bess. Now this is kind of interesting. Now, I have a degree in genetics, and I think a lot about genetics. Pam and Kathy and I have half of Dad's genes. Doug and Heidi have 1/4 of Dad's genes. And that means that Lindsay Bess has 1/8 of of Dad's genes, which is kind of interesting when you think about that. And cousins have about a 16th of their genes in common. So the cousins here will have about a 16th of their genes in common, which I find very interesting, that an eighth of this little girl's 100,000 genes are Dad's. And that's kind of neat, okay, when you think about that. Other extended family, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention Art Crawford in the back is Kathy's husband. My wife had to work today, but my daughter Kelly and Brian and Sean. So we're just, my wife has told me that I'm going to be the one that has to bail Sean out of jail when he gets older and goes to jail. So we're just crossing our fingers. Now you know your brother.
Oh yeah.
People we work with. I think anybody that has ever worked and had a job, the people you work with, you don't work 8 hours a day. You probably work 9, 10 hours a day, and you're with them for a major portion of your life. People don't realize and understand the significance of people that you work with. They mold your ideas. They educate you. And so people you work with are extremely important to you. And when we were going through all the people that the Dad wanted to be here, at the top of the list were the people that Dad had worked with for years and years. So I would really like to introduce really 4 wonderful people that were a major part of my Dad's life, and I'm my dad's son, and I need to tell you, Rufus and Gilbert will probably appreciate this one. About 5 years ago, I was refinishing my basement in a house that I had in Westminster. And I had to put floating walls down, and so I had all my walls, and of course, my dad wouldn't let me drill a hole or pound a nail before I got a building permit. So I had to go in and get a building permit, and I had to have everything according to the rules. And he came up one time, and he comes down, and he's looking, as you know, he always checks things out. And he says, is your level calibrated? And I thought he was kind of kidding me, like, you know, some of the rookies on the job, they'll ask them to go get a sky hook, okay, to put up the beams or whatever. So I thought he was kind of pulling my leg. And I said, oh yeah, right, Dad, calibrate your level, ha ha. And he looks at me, as only my dad can, like, I'm not kidding you. And I went from about 45 years of age to 12 in about 2 seconds. And I said, no, Dad. I went to Hugh M. Woods, I walked over to the levels, I picked one up off the shelf, and I bought it. I assume that when you buy a level, it's calibrated. And he continued to look at me like I was out of my mind. How could I not calibrate my level? So I said, Dad, how do you do it? And he showed me how to calibrate my level, and of course it was out 1/4 of an inch in about 4 feet. And he just simply said, your walls are not plumb. You'll need to go through and plumb your walls. So Gilbert and Rufus, I know exactly what it must have been like. You know, you'd probably ask if your hammer was calibrated. But anyway, four of the most important people in my father's life, including those that he worked with. And I will, there's not one that's more important than the other. I'll introduce the young lady first, and then the gentleman next. Jane Sharp was the coordinator inside the office. Jane, you want to just stand up, wave for us? Jane helped sign all of his checks. So she was a wonderful person for us. We appreciate what she did and the friendship that she had and the help and the encouragement. Probably go by age here. I'd like to introduce Rufus Ordovez. Rufus is a man of few words. Okay, I would have the honor to go and visit Dad at job sites every once in a while, and it was nice because he'd always introduce me as my boy. But one of the things I realized was Rufus was really a man of few words. But according to my dad, and also from what I've seen, probably one of the hardest workers that has ever worked. Rufus, my dad has a tremendous amount of respect for you, and we're just glad you came and brought your wife. We appreciate that. Gilbert. Gilbert, the older brother. I always wondered through the years if you guys ever like duked it out on the job like brothers do sometimes, or say, you know, you idiot, you know, what are you doing this for, or whatever. But, you know, I don't think so. The one story I have of Gilbert of my own is one summer, this was after I graduated from college, I was able to work for Bruce Hughes, and I was on the Hewlett-Packard building, and I thought maybe I'd done something wrong because one of my first days I had to go down about 20 feet in a metal sleeve to jackhammer out the protrusion of the existing building's foundation. And you know, you have to have your hard hat on and your earplugs and nose plugs and stuff. However, one day it rained real bad, and we had to have some water pumped out of a section, and Gilbert went over to the shop and got a pump to pump it out. Well, this pump wasn't kind of working the way it should be. And Gilbert, as we all know, is pretty handy at getting any kind of machine to run. And he was having some trouble, and he cussed at it a little bit. And then he looked at me and he said, you know, I'd never do that around your dad. He always said, and he often said, that they were more than workers. Okay, so that was Rufus and Gilbert. And then Bruce. How opposite could you be in personality between Rufus and Gilbert and Bruce? I would meet Bruce, and he would kid me and give me a hard time, and that was a wonderful time. And my dad had a lot of respect for Bruce, and vice versa. To Dad, and any kind of anything that Dad needed, any time off or whatever. I'm trying to think, and about the only time Dad was sick was in the late 50s. He had the flu for a few days. And then I think the very first job that he worked on for Bruce Hughes was the Cheyenne Mountain School. We have some pictures, and Dad fell off a ladder, and we all know he has a little bit of a proboscis, which is the nose, and he just caught the end of his nose on the ladder and had to have it sewed up and that type of thing. Boulevard was an old farm road. That's all that was out there. And we'll see a building that Dad did. I'll never forget. I went in when they were, the company was doing the terrazzo floors. And I remember talking to either Gilbert or Rufus and asked them where Lester Dolan was. And there wasn't any Lester Dolan around there. They all knew him by Pete Monday morning, and I had a 2-gallon gas tank, or 2-gallon gas can. And I figured out how I could get the hose and pull it. You know, a couple times I got a mouthful of gasoline. And after that, you realize you're going to find out a way to do this that's easier. And so maybe this was part of my early science experience, but I would put the hose in before Dad left for work, pull it out real quick and put it in the gas can and fill up 2 gallons. Then I would go up to my Volkswagen, put in a gallon, and run till I ran out of gas. And sure enough, why not siphon it out if we're on a hill? So what I did is I ran around to all the neighbors and got their hoses. So I must have had, I don't know, 5 hoses. Well, what you have to do is you have to get the hose full of water. I knew I wasn't going to be sucking this water down this hose, so again I thought, I'm going to put it into the faucet and then put the other end into the drain. And I'm going to turn on the water until I see that all the bubbles are out of the hose. Okay? And I did that, unhooked it from the faucet, and took it all the way down. We're on a hill, all the way down, probably close to the corner. And man, did we get a suction coming out of there. And it was all because Bruce Hughes bought gas for Dad's truck, so I could siphon it out on Monday morning, and I figured out how to do that. And it saved our the lower level from getting flooded. Again, by going to a banquet night. This section now is grandchildren. These will be the grandchildren of Mom and Dad. There's Lindsay, there's Holly, the first grandchild. She is now 30, will be 32. And she's as neat as a pin now, and can't stay in a messy house, and we can show her this picture of food all over her face. Another one, and there's little Doug checking out the food. This is one of my favorites because it kind of looks like, you know, Pillsbury boy or something, kind of like, don't move me, I'll roll off this thing. Here's the 3 of them, Doug and Holly and Heidi in Mom and Dad's closet. Here's a nice picture of Dad and little Doug. You notice their heads are both tilted the same way. Dad and Holly, and then we both of them. Doug's got his hand on Dad's hand. Here is a little poster woman that we have here. Little curlers in her hair. We can get copies made of this. This is not too bad either. Kind of nice with the baby powder. So after the Christmas tree, that was good.
Heidi with her Barbie van, probably on eBay, that Barbie van's worth about $2,000 now, whatever. About. You know, get those dresses down there. They're eating watermelon probably either early in the spring. Dad and Theo putting the siding up. This is actually one of my favorite pictures, the blue sky in the back. It's just as deep as can be. They're up there roofing, putting shingles on the roof. The back part of the cabin in the background.
And mine was real quick and vocal in there. I could tell when Pinky was mad because a little muscle here on his jaw was kind of flexed a little bit, and his lips would tighten up when he was trying to get Pink. That's when he was mad.
That fall, and it was the next weekend we were supposed to go. Well, poor guy probably didn't have 2 dimes to rub together, but he saw the 3 little kids going, oh, you know, we didn't practice. You're not going to charge me for the gas, are you?
You didn't siphon near as much gas as I did when I was a kid.
All right.
I even that out.
Okay.
You had those pictures of the municipal, and you said there was no such thing as an 8-hour day.
Yeah.
And Pinky and I, many and many a night, we were still walking around that pool. We just wore a path around that pool. But where is all that water going?
But it never should have been built.
No, it shouldn't. That wasn't our fault.
No, that's true. And you're absolutely right, Bruce, because I remember late nights and maybe even early mornings where the 2 of you would be out there trying to figure that out. And you know, you think today in this day and age, you know, superintendent and the boss of the company wouldn't be doing that. You know, they would have other people doing that. And that was another thing that always impressed me with what Dad would say about Rufus and Gilbert is that you know, there was never a cross word said between them, and that whatever needed to be done, and a lot of times they would anticipate what needed to be done.
One of the things that I was impressed with Pinky and John and George were my best friends when I was in high school. They were all good students, and that's the truth. Most every one of my classes, we were very well. The boys were one ahead. But we all, on weekends, I worked on the railroad, but on weekends we did our thing of hiking. We traveled up High Street. And one thing I've never figured out is one of the world's biggest secrets, I think. They never told me about my old wife until 1973 I married her. They never mentioned her all that time that we were. But anyway, I'm proud that they did.
She didn't know what to get the man that has everything. And she always thought so much of Pink that he could have been the front page news just about any day. So we found the front page on microfilm the other day in Denver. It's Friday, September 24th. 1920, Babe Ruth had just hit his first 50th home run that year. The newspaper cost more on that date in 1920 than it would cost you to subscribe home delivery today. So I don't know what that says about inflation. The nickel cigar is going over a cliff. It's a V-nickel, by the way, in 1920. But when he wanted you to have something that was a little unique, a little different, and a commemorative of that day, in Monument 1920.
George was there, and my husband had never seen her. He said, John lived by us in Berkeley, so he knew him. And he was with him. And going on the street in the Philippines, I guess in the Euros, wherever, he hollers out and says, that looks like a dollar. And it's, he looks at George, she didn't know who in the world it was that was being so familiar with him until further, they're not together. Earl explained who he was, but they were really pretty healthy after that.
And I'd not to be 80 years old because of that talent that you've given me along the way. How else should you know that? Know that.
Okay, we got Kate over here.
Get your cake back.
Oh, thank you.
And it never should have been
We took the blame for it for about 3 months. Finally locked it up, chained it up, and said it's yours. And then the architects. You the oldest? Yes.
What I've always wondered is
Oh, okay.
what the sound, that comes down off the nose, that's still the one that
Did that just to happen when you were blaming it on what they put the bacon up there?
No. And Sarah was one of them.
Well, some translated by them. 1, 2.
See, she always smiles at
Is that okay?
She sees the flash and then says, that big smile.
One more. I'll take you one. Okay.
Okay, Lindsay.
One more. That's ready.
Hey.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll send you one.
I'm older than
Enjoyed it.
I went back last October.
Bunny had a great time.
And it was the first sunny day. Where's your mama and your daddy?
Especially now, there won't be any.
Where's your mama and your daddy?
Is your house anywhere near the fires? Right there, go down there.
We've passed through it, I think, but
Interstate 5 goes straight south from here, which one is now south of Fort. And a little song in the town I work for was Bud.
Oh, he's just making up to everybody, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
This is kind of unusual for him.
He had enough of that scratch, didn't he? My cat's the same way. You get up in the morning and give her some cat food and she has to touch it out. You don't get it when she thinks she can get it. You don't watch it. Pat you with your paw. Or if you have her on her lap and you do something to scratch it, you want that, there you go. That.
don't like the belly, huh? Okay. All right, then I won't do the belly. All right.
My mom still looks the same.
Does she?
I'll show some pictures.
Unreal.
Oh, she's out there mowing leaves on that 200 acres out there. Helps out on the farm. Her brother. Her brother's been in the
So
farm.
how'd you end up in Texas after going?
We made it to Rincon at like 10:30 the same day.
But we slept there. And then what happened the next day.
See, now that's what Daddy would do. I mean, he would drive
Oh, so
straight.
that's why you're backing up.
Yeah. One of them scratched me down here.
Yeah.
And I remember
was
when your
bleeding
dad
for a
passed
long
away,
time.
they came to
Paid
Wyoming
an hour.
and
That was
spent the
fun.
night with us. And then the roads were really bad. It was snowy and everything. And they drove straight through to California. He had some coffee, I think, in Salt Lake or something.
So how was your drive down?
And I drive to it. and
From
I-
Oregon, we went up to Walla
Yeah,
Walla
get
with my
lost.
parents.
Walla Walla.
Yeah, I
I
grew up
just
there.
talked to a guy in Walla Walla the other day on the phone.
Yeah, that's where my parents went to Utah and into Colorado. It's pretty desolate.
I said, if I see you sitting up one more time, you're driving, you know? So he sat up one more time. That was it. My driving usually, so that's more our spike.
2 or 3 trips.
Slow and watch the sea.
Over there.
Now, who
But
was
that
that?
made
If your mom had had blue material, then they would call you Bluey, huh? Yeah, how about that? Yeah, I think Pinky's probably better than Bluey.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
Well, in those days, they used to have flour sacks, great big flour sacks, and people would make things out of the sacks. And so that's what it was. It was a big sack. And she made that out
My mom mentioned that a lot of times.
of. Does she?
Or up in the mountains. Anywhere in the nice direction. No, but the time that the crew was there, mountain lion was there, the next day we were down in the canyon.
Now, your dad worked for, was it a college?
In California, he went out to Denver and then worked with Air Base. And where those place for
During the war, wasn't he in Alameda?
His name's George.
Hadn't hardly said hi. He says, you know, that was probably the late 80s. He said, let's go see John. And we went there. You know, when are we gonna go out again? It was so nice seeing you again. Love and kisses, Pauline. And he goes, oh.
Oh, no!
Just like that. And then I would read him another one.
Is that right? I've never heard him talk about anyone.
And then they were buried. So what happened is, when they could go, they would go to Valhalla. They'd have this boat, and they'd have their,
Oh, I remember Valhalla. I remember Valhalla.
and they had their
Remember in
weapons.
Hysteria?
Right?
Yeah.
They had their weapons, and they had their fancy colors, and they had
It
all
was
their
a
stuff,
place where-
and they were going to go to Valhalla. Okay?
They actually played
Well, because they wrote
on the wall.
instructions. They wrote instructions on how they did it.
signal's almost a stop.